Alright. You guys now know my dirty little secret. All of my descriptions, all of my titles, everything, it's all written by ChatGPT. I don't have the ability to write it myself. Today, we are going to have some fun. The way we're going to have that fun is in the World Nexus. We are going to build some characters and put them in the World Nexus, and we're going to create a character template server, and we're going to do all of this fun stuff because I want to. So, let's take a look at what we have so far. So the world, well, sorry, before we get into all that, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to join us in the World Nexus or the Forever Adventures Library. The Forever Adventures Library is a place where we're writing stories, but they're, hey, what's up, Paul? They are cooperatively written, choose your own adventure books. And so you're going to go through, and everybody, you just write stages anywhere you want to, and you fork off of anybody's story that you want to, and you write whatever you want, and you tell the story from the point where it was left off in whatever way you want from wherever you want. And then people follow through the story and pick and choose which little bits of story they're going to read as they go, and they just basically create their own book from all the stories that are being written. And then the World Nexus is a project where we are building chunks of worlds, people, families, places, kingdoms, all of these things, and then we're mashing them all together in different ways for use as parts of stories, for use as parts of tabletop RPGs, all kinds of stuff like that. And we're doing a lot of this with the assistance of ChatGPT because it is a great collaborator on creative endeavors. And so any of you who have been in my streams before have seen that we've gotten ChatGPT to do some really, really great stuff to either be creative on our behalf or to help bring out our own creativity. So today our focus is going to be on characters. We're going to get a template down for what a person is and what a character is and what we want to flesh out when we're creating characters for the World Nexus. And then we're going to build some characters, and this is all going to be building up. This week, all of our streams are going to be about different tiers of world building. And then on Friday, we're going to do just a really long stream where all the people and places and things that we've created, we're going to mash them all together in a bunch of different ways, and we're going to tell a bunch of stories, and we're just going to mash things together, get ChatGPT to write us a story, and then we're going to read the story, and then we're going to move on. We're going to do that for hours and hours and hours on Friday as sort of a push to try and get some additional subscribers and get a little more involvement in the World Nexus and the Forever Adventure Library communities, as well as here on the channel. So I think Friday is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. But we got to build up to that first, so let's get started. The first thing we want to do, and I've actually already done this, because ChatGPT is an outlining monster. It can outline anything. It's wonderful. And so previously when we talked about having template servers, Paul brought up that having a template server for the different tiers of world building would be great, and I mentioned that I am not the right person to do that because I don't have the specific creativity involved in doing something like that. Well, I was wrong, because with the assistance of ChatGPT, my own creativity is drastically improved, and so we just got ChatGPT to do this fun little thing for us, where it wrote us an outline of what it might be to create a non-player character. So here's that outline. ChatGPT says that you want a character's background, right? You want to determine the NPC's history, including their birthplace, family, education, and significant events or experiences that have shaped their personality and worldview. Very, very important. Got to know who your character is. You want personality traits, especially if you're going to use this for a TTRPG or in a story. You want to know who the character or what the character's personality is, because that's going to inform your decisions on how they're going to respond to things. So their strengths, their weaknesses, likes, dislikes, motivations, and fears. Wonderful things to have your character, to have knowledge about your character for. You're going to want a physical description, right? Describe the NPC's appearance, including their height, build, hair color, eye color, clothing, and any distinctive features or markings. This is important for humanoid characters, but is even more important if you're going all the way out of humanoid and decide to make a unique race of characters or something like that. Having a physical description, letting us see those characters, and maybe even using those physical descriptions to create art. If you are an artist and you want to create the art yourself, or if you're not an artist, like I'm not an artist, using a generative AI to help you visualize what these characters are, that physical description is going to be really important there. Skills and abilities. Now, this one is where we're going to use a little bit of our own creativity in how we set up the server. So, ChatGPT has made these wonderful new channels inside of your server, and they're forum channels. And I think that single-handedly, forum channels are going to make character creation or any world building done on Discord this wildly better experience. Because as you see here, I've created a life events forum channel. I'm the only person who has the ability to write in this forum channel, or at least I'm going to make sure that that's what the permissions say, because I'm the creator of this character. But now I'm going to go in here, so I've got my background overview, right? This is the general idea of the background that ChatGPT wanted me to write. But then in here, I'm going to create new forum posts, potentially with artwork, that are going to describe seminal life events in my character's life. And I can add these life events as I go. I can come back to this character whenever I want and update some sort of life event to determine some new way that this character is going to act, or some new reason as to why they are the way they are. And I'm going to put each one of these life events in its own forum post. And then you're going to be able to go through and explore snapshots of this character's life. I think it's going to be the most fun. Another thing that might be fun to do with this is to create another forum that anybody can post on and have it be like story events, and allow people to tell stories that involved your character from their larger world. So if you were playing in a tabletop RPG and somebody borrowed your character as an NPC, and then the player characters came and interacted with your character in some way, and maybe it was some epic thing. Maybe your character was the big bad evil guy, or maybe your character was used as a witch or something like that, or maybe your character was used as the innkeeper, and the PCs ended up sort of adopting this in as their home base, and so they were constantly interacting with this character, and this character just became like the life of the story. Then those people could come back to your chat here and post in another forum about the experience that this character had in a totally outside story that has nothing to do with your character creation. And we can share those experiences with each other through these Discord channels. I think that's going to be super cool. And so I'm going to add that in. Now, there is one issue. I tried to publish this as a template and post it in the World Nexus. Right now, you cannot use forum channels in you're not supposed to be able to use forum channels in non-community pages. So you'll see I've got like the rules and moderator only channels here is because I turned this into a forum page so I could get turned it into a community page so I could get the forum channels, which is fine. But also when you turn it into a template, the forum channels don't appear in the template. And so you get everything else, but the forum channels disappear. And I think those are the most powerful and most fun part. So until, and on the Discord site, it says that they're going to be adding the forum channels to personal Discord servers. But until that happens, we're just going to have to do, we're going to make these videos and we're going to post up what the outline is, and then you'll be able to just copy that outline. There's not a lot of channels and stuff to create. It's relatively easy to create all this stuff. Shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes. So this is a fine way to do it, but I really, at some point, I want to make sure that we can just use the templates to just create more quickly and more effectively. So, yeah, let me add this. Where should I add? Let's just add it right in here with background. No. Yeah, we'll add it right up here into the forum, and we're going to put external adventures. All right. Everybody's going to be able to post in this forum, and just anybody who takes this character and does anything with it, they can always come back here and write a little forum post about some external adventure that this character had outside of my world building. I think that'll be super fun. So let's get into it. Let's build some characters. We've got our format here. A couple of other things. It said occupation and role. That's another. So we've got. I separated out the outline it gave me into a couple of different places. And first we've got the background, right? This is your overview. You're going to have just a general character summary. That's going to include your skills, that's going to include your personality, that's going to include your physical description, that's going to include your background, your occupation if you give it one, right? All of that stuff is going to be included in your summary. And it's going to be very comprehensive, and that'll be like what you feed to ChatGPT if you want to use that character in a story with ChatGPT. That'll be what you tell your player characters when you use this character in your TTRPG. So that's going to be your summary. Then you've got your background. Background overview is just where did this character come from? Who are they? What are some of their personality traits even can be put in here? Why are they who they are? Then you've got your bigger, your next big step of outline is characteristics. So you've got personality traits, you've got physical descriptions. Then inside of that, I put a couple more forum pages, which are going to be the skills and abilities. That just doesn't have to be TTRPG skills and abilities, right? That can be, if your character is going to have the occupation of a smith, then their skills and abilities are going to be metalworking. They're going to be, they're going to be metalworking. But maybe they have a specific thing that they're really good at, like they're the best armor or something like that. And I wanted to put, again, each of these skills and abilities in its own little forum post. Yes. So in the World Nexus page, where we're going to be posting these, you can see I've got a bunch of tags. It limits you to how many tags you can put in a forum, though. So we're not going to get as specific as, for example, the class that we're tagging down to, right? We're doing superhero, villain, hero, strong, weak, smart, naive, brave, cowardly, evil, good, mysterious, quirky, outspoken, timid, witty, male, female, LGBTQ+. If any of your work, right, we're not going to do anything that's not safe for work on the World Nexus page. But if any of the artwork or any of the character description or anything like that on the server where you house your character, or any part of your world building, right? If it's a point of interest or anything, if it has artwork or description that is going to be not safe for work, tag it not safe for work. I have maxed out the number of tags that are available on people here. So this is as many tags as we can get. So I wish that we had some more. Because I think that there are a lot more tags that would be a lot more useful. And maybe I'll take some of these out, right? Because some of them are sort of duplicates. When you think strong, you could also think brave, right? Because that's also strong of will or strong of conviction. So I might take brave out and instead put something else in. And I may refine some of these tags in the future, but for now, this is sort of what we're limited to. Maybe Discord will also let us have more tags at some point. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, absolutely that'll happen. And then in your own personal server where you house your character, you could absolutely put tags for your life events so that people could more easily sort the life events that are about specific personality traits or specific physical descriptions. Like if your character's really scarred and you wanted to put a tag in your life events that was like scars, and then you could create a life event for each individual scar that this character has on their body, and then you could search that tag, and then you could read about each individual scar that this person had received. So if you want to do that while you're building your characters, absolutely that'll be super fun. And then putting in some tags in your external adventures, like you mentioned, you could put if they were, used as a cleric, or if they were used in a tabletop RPG, or if they were used in a story, what kind of story was it used? Right, put as many tags as you want in there. Just know you're going to be pretty limited, and so you're going to have to really hone down and refine what kind of tags you want to be using for that. But honestly, with the addition of these forum channels, Discord has become such a better creative tool than it already was. I mean, I already thought that collaborative creating with Discord was one of the... Yes, there is a hard limit on the max tag, and it's only like 15 or 20. It's not very... I guess I could count them. In the World Nexus, for this we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, you have 20 tags. That's all you get. For each different forum channel, though. So you can have, if you have 100 forum channels, then you get 2,000 tags. But that would be a lot. And then, let's see, so we were looking at... So then down here we've got skills and abilities, right? We want to talk about each individual skill. And then we've got quirks and mannerisms. I thought this was a really good thing for ChatGPT to bring up. And it brought it all the way down here, but I went ahead and put it in characteristics. Because this is where your characters start to feel alive, right? The things that are just slightly off about your character. Can tags be at tags? You mean like at specific characters? Or at specific, like, I don't think I understand what you're trying to get at. I mean, they're not really hashtags either. They're just tags used for sorting. And so you have to add the tag when you create the forum post. Here, we'll create a new post. And you typey a title, and you typey some other stuff. Oh, I'm in the person, so I don't have any tags here. I actually need to go down to the World Nexus. And then I create a new post. And then you'll see that, and I actually require on the World Nexus. No, absolutely. So I require on the World Nexus that you tag things, and these are just specifically tags for sorting. So I can post this up here, and I can say, well, let's just use one tag. He's a hero character, and then I post it up. And what that'll do is now I can search, right? It's got this sort here. And oh, okay, so this is how it's listed. And then I can go over here and I can click the hero tag, and it'll only show me things with the hero tag. So it gets rid of the pinned post that I previously had. And then if I don't just want to see hero tags, I don't have to. So this is just limiting what you're seeing as the observer through, and it just lists the tags up here. So you're not able to, like, for example, if you created roles, you couldn't use the for the roles to create more tags inside of here, if you catch my drift. We want to delete this. Yes, delete it. Ammo. Okay, so quirks and mannerisms. So this is going to be... I don't think the typical search function up here works inside of the forum pages. I think it's got a completely separate search than the typical search for the Discord. I haven't done a ton of investigation with that, so I may be wrong, but I do believe that's how it works. If not, then you could absolutely use ats and hashtags inside of the actual text of the post. So actually, I should look into that, because if you can, then you could create all kinds of tags, and then they wouldn't even have to be tags that were defined by me or whoever hosts the server. They could be tags that were defined by everybody sort of communally, like, Twitter hashtags and stuff. So I'll look into more of that. I don't know whether or not it will work or not, though. So we'll see. I'll have an answer tomorrow or whenever the next stream is. And then we had... Next, we looked into world involvement and occupation. Now this is also another really important one when it comes to the modularity of building worlds with the World Nexus. Is we have an occupation, and that's relatively bland. But if you talk about relationships, now you're creating an opportunity to help direct the person who's borrowing your NPC to choose more NPCs that are going to have natural interactions with this particular character. So, if your character is a fully adult, maybe even an older, like say a 40-year-old smith, and they have a wife, or maybe even you say that their wife died. They have maybe kids, they have friends in the town that they're living in, they have all of these different things, and you can help start to sort of define some of these relationships and how this person is connected. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be to other people, right? It could be to organizations, it could be to kingdoms. Maybe they're a smith as an occupation, but they also have a relationship with the town guard as an informant, or all kinds of different things. And this is the part where we're going to sew the threads of how we can connect the little bits of our worlds together and make a cohesive story out of these disparate pieces. So the relationship section is going to be really important, and then you choose and use as many relationships as you want to, right? Just because the person who created the character says maybe this character has a son or a daughter doesn't mean that you have to go choose a son or daughter for them. You can just ignore that part. And then, they say that they have a relationship with the city guard because they're an informant. Well, that's a great little bit of information. Now go find a city guard for the city that they live in, and now these two little bits are connected in some way. And that's going to help you really flesh out that extra little stuff without having to do a ton of work yourself, right? If you wanted to have this fleshed out of a story for a tabletop RPG or for a story you were writing, it would be extremely difficult because there's a lot of opportunity for your characters or your readers to never interact with those parts of your story. They may never know. If you were playing a tabletop RPG, your players might never ask or never have a reason to find out that the smith was an informant for the city guard. but still that information informs how you interact as the smith when you're interacting with your player characters. So it's important information, even if they never really use it. So let's get a character made. I want to get at least one done today. We might try and do two. It depends on how long it takes and how creative I'm feeling. But let's get a character made, and then let's get it posted on the World Nexus so that we have a good, solid example other people can use, and other people can create their own worlds on the World Nexus. Actually, I forgot to post up on hang on, I gotta edit this video because I need to post the link to the World Nexus and the link to the library as part of the description, because that's important, because otherwise how can people find it? They can't. So it's getting linked right now. Boomo. And I think I gotta delete these little brackets. Boomo. And then we save it. And then we go back and watch it. What happens? Is it in there now? Hey, it's in there now. All right. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of the World Nexus or the Forever Adventures library, all right. So let's get started building a character. So first step, we really want to name our character. And I think the best place to put your name is right there as the title of the server. It'll be prominent. It'll always be there. And I also think it'll be fun once we get far enough into the physical description to create a little portrait of the character's face, and we're going to use that as the image for the server as well. So then if people are using it in their tabletop RPGs, they'll be able to see it on the side over there, and they'll be able to go, oh, that's Brennard Wolfmane right there, because I can see his picture, and it'll help people move around the servers that they're using better. So we're going to do all of that today. And what is a good name? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use ChatGPT. One of the things I hate the most about world building is coming up with names, because they all sound goofy to me. I've never read a name that I thought was bad in a story. Right? Every time I read a story, the names are always good. And then every time I come up with a name, I'm like, well, that's a goofy name. That would never work. But then I get ChatGPT to make me some goofy names, and I'm like, oh no, all these names are wonderful. And I just have this weird mental block where I think everything I make up is goofy, and everything everybody else makes up is wonderful. So I'm going to get ChatGPT to give me a name. Can you give me a cool name for... What kind of character do we want to make? I just want to make a bland, normal, like you're going to bump into in a city or small village PC. And we've been talking about Smith, so let's make a Smith, a name for a kobold Smith. Yeah, we're going to use a kobold Smith that lives among the other races in a human village. Bammo, give me the name. Sure. Here are a few suggestions. Koba Ironheart, don't like it. Blaze Brawn Forge, I like that one. Stonefire Steel Drum. Ironhide Craft Brass. I love that one. Drog Blacksmith. Coming right out there just saying, I'm a blacksmith. My last name is Blacksmith. That's the way things are. Flint Crush Steel Haze. I guess you have heard of DriveThruRPG website. They have a ton of generative resources. I've heard of, and I've used a lot of generative resources for, names and different stuff like that. But honestly, as much as I'm interested in things like world building and storytelling and tabletop RPGs, until ChatGPT came along to help me focus some of my creative ideas, I have been really held back from involving myself with those things, because my own inability to focus my creativity has stopped me from thinking that I was ever doing a good enough job, that I wanted to, play TTRPG games with other people or write stories that other people were going to read or any of that. So ChatGPT has helped me overcome a lot of what I thought were my personal um, personal skill gaps. There we go. And so it's actually caused me to start doing a lot more of these things in a much more active way. So I haven't really used a lot of, say, the drive-through RPG website because I've just never done a lot of this stuff before because of that. We also have Flint Crush Steel Haze. We have Spark Steel Claw. Ooh, I really like that one. I think he's probably going to be Spark Steel Claw. Bronze Heart Grim Forge. Bolt Carver Hammer Strike. Or Ember Flint Iron. And we're definitely going Spark Steel Claw. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So we are going to our server settings. We are changing from person. We are now Spark Steel Claw. Right? Absolutely. Good old Spark Steel Claw. We're going to save our change here. Bammo. So now we got Spark Steel Claw. And now the character summary is actually something I'm going to get ChatGPT to write later after we've already filled out all this other stuff. So let's go down. Background overview is also going to be something that needs to be done later. So this is kind of interesting because you want your character summary and you want your background overview to be two of the first things you can interact with on the server as a visitor. But honestly, the character summary and background overview are two of the last things that you should do as the creator because you want to build all of these other bits and bobs before you summarize them, right? So let's go all the way down, actually. We already know his occupation. So we're going to say Smith. Um, and then we're going to get a little more specific with it. Spark Steel Claw is not just a smith. He is the smith. I'm going to make Spark Steel Claw a smith of tiny things. And what I mean by that is, he's not going to be shoeing horses or um, creating armors or building great big weapons. He's going to create letter openers and candlestick holders and um, tiny little metal figurines and different things like that. Sort of like an artificer minus the magic. I just want him to be incredibly skilled at manipulating metals to create static objects. They're not going to do anything. They're just pretty and extremely, extremely well crafted. That's going to be Spark Steel Claw. Not a. He is the smith. Anyone who is anyone who wishes to have a unique bit of metal forged art goes to Spark. Let's see. You know what? Let's lean. I know I do it all the time, but let's lean on ChatGPT. So I am creating a kobold smith who does not create the normal smith things. like armor and horseshoes. Instead, he creates intricate works of art forged in metal, like candlestick holders or letter openers or tiny metal figurines of incredible detail. Can you please write a description of his overall work? And let's see what it gives us. Certainly, here's a description of the goldsmith's work. Goldsmith is a master of his craft, creating intricate and delicate works of art forged in metal. Unlike other smiths who focus on functional items like armor and horseshoes, this kobold has dedicated his life to creating stunning pieces that are as beautiful as they are useful. Each piece is a true masterpiece, crafted with the utmost care and attention to detail. From delicate candlestick holders to ornate letter openers to intricate medical figurines, every item produced by the goldsmith is a testament to his exceptional skill and creativity. Each piece is forged from the finest metals, and the kobold takes great care to ensure that the metal is worked and shaped to perfection, bringing out its natural beauty and luster. No two pieces are exactly alike, as the kobold imbues each with his own unique artistic vision and style. Whether it's a whimsical figurine of a dragon, a delicate filigree candle holder, or an elegant letter opener, each piece is a work of art that will be cherished for generations to come. It is absolutely true that the D&D Beyond website will let you do that. However, this is not about creating characters for a single use, right? Dungeons and Dragons is just one of a billion tabletop RPGs. And the parts of the character that we're creating here today are not about their stat blocks. They are about who they are individually. This could be taken and used for any resource. Even though I'm creating a character who is a kobold, I am also creating a character we've experienced, or not experienced, we've explored using ChatGPT to also take characters out of their intended universes and move them into other genres or other universes, where we took, for example, Legolas and moved him into the Star Trek universe and basically created Spock from Legolas using ChatGPT. So there is tons of ability to multi-purpose and multi-use these. The other is the extreme shareability and collaborability of the World Nexus project versus what you would get from D&D Beyond. All you need in order to access all of this information about this character is the link to that Discord. And then you can copy it, you can change it, you can nitpick little things about it, you can do all of this other stuff. And then we're even going to, like we said before, create this place where you can talk about the external adventures you take these characters on. D&D Beyond is about creating a character for your use and for your party's use, specifically at the table you're playing with. The World Nexus is about creating a character that is going to live anywhere and everywhere with a huge variety of individuals in a huge variety of different ways. I think that D&D Beyond is absolutely useful if your goal in storytelling is to tell it within D&D, but beyond that, it's not nearly as effective as something that's a little more free-form and open and outside of any individual rule set, which is what we're trying to do here. So no two pieces are exactly alike, as the Kobold imbues each with his shares for generations to come. We already read that. The Koboldsmith's work is highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts alike, and is considered some of the finest metalwork in the land. If you're looking for a one-of-a-kind masterpiece to add to your collection, or simply a beautiful piece of functional art to adorn your home, the Koboldsmith's work is sure to impress. Fantastic. Now I'm going to see if I can do something. I've never tried to do this before, but change all instances of the Kobold to Spark Steelclaw. Certainly. Here's the updated description. Spark Steelclaw is a master of his craft, creating intricate and delicate works of art forged in metal. Unlike other smiths who focus on functional items like armor or horseshoes, Spark has dedicated his life to creating stunning pieces that are as beautiful as they are useful. Each piece is a true masterpiece, crafted with the utmost care and attention to detail. Let's make sure. Excellent. So it looks like it's just copying and replacing. Yes. Perfection. Thank you so much, ChatGPT. You are a wonderful piece of machine. And now, we have not just that he's a smith. Absolutely. It is absolutely an extension. And again, that is totally the goal, is to extend the character creation process, but to extend it in a way where it's not wasted. Something that bogs down a lot of world builders is the vastness of even an individual world. And what's going to happen is you're going to build 95% of your world in this sort of wispy, ethereal way where it exists, but not really. It's that mountain in the distance, right? And all you know is that it's a mountain and maybe it's famous for this one individual thing. But it never gets explored, it never gets adventured. It's just this ethereal place out there on the horizon. And a lot of world building ends up getting relegated to that because there's not enough time in the day to provide as much detail as you might like about each and every little bit of your world, because eventually you have to go and explore your world. And if you didn't just get finished and then start exploring, you would never ever get to explore your world. By doing it this way, by creating this modular system where people can create extremely deeply the individual pieces of these worlds that they're so interested in, and then take something that was extremely deeply built by another person and add it to their world, then instead of just being that wispy ethereal mountain in the distance, we now have this extremely fleshed out, maybe it's the lone spine or something like that, and it's the mountain where this great battle took place, but even before that, the mountain was created between two gods clashing at that point, and when they clashed, their magics came together and formed this great spike of earth that came out of the ground. And it doesn't even matter that your characters never go explore it, it still has all this rich lore. And if it ever does get explored, then it exists. And the person who's leading the game or telling the story or building the world doesn't have to be the one who put all that effort into it. And then somebody else can borrow the parts of the world that he created with so much, or he or she created, sorry, that they created with so much care, and then move those bits of world building into another world and add that same benefit to someone else out there. And it's all about collaboration, it's all about sharing, it's all about taking all of these bits of world on different adventures across different stories. There's a nice book called something like the RPG Character Backstory Guide, forgot who it's written by, I've never heard of it. Maybe I'll look it up real quick, and we'll see. Give this individual a shout out. The RPG Character Backstory Guide. The Ultimate RPG Character Backstory Guide, Expanded Genres Edition, prompts and activities to create compelling characters. And it doesn't say who it's written by right there. Let's go into it. James D'Amato is who wrote whatever it is I'm looking at right now. Does that sound correct? James D'Amato? Okay. So, um, there are tons of resources out there for helping you decide what parts of your bits of world building need to be fleshed out. Um, some of those resources are books like Paul just brought up, but one of those resources can also be ChatGPT. It has a great understanding. Like I said, it created this outline for me to determine what I was going to be putting into my characters here and how I was going to be setting up this Discord server. And ChatGPT is a wonderful resource for all of those things. If you're interested in creating anything that requires an outline, go talk to ChatGPT about it. Explain to it exactly what you're trying to do and ask it to build an outline for you. And even if you don't use the outline in the order that it gives you or discard pieces of the outline because you don't think they're important, it's at least going to give you some ideas. And that's what books like the RPG Character Backstory Guide are all about. And most of them will explain to you in the beginning when you start reading the book. They're like, hey, this is a guide. Some of it's useful, some of it's not. It's going to be conditional. The same thing is true of information that ChatGPT gives you. Sometimes it's really important, sometimes it's not. For example, if I just wanted to make a general smith, then the occupation of Spark Steelclaw is relatively unimportant, right? He's a smith, nothing special about it, whatever, who cares? And you know, there could be other interesting pieces about him. Activities to build out your character personality. That's fun. We have also discovered an activity that you can do here. Again, I lean on ChatGPT hard because I think it is the greatest collaborative tool you will ever have access to. Well, not ever. It's the greatest collaborative tool you have ever had access to because it will collaborate with you and it will do it dynamically. You can get ChatGPT to just ask you questions about your character and then answer those questions, and that's how you build your character. So a lot of fun there. And I'm going to keep harping on ChatGPT. They don't pay me money to do that. I just think it's that important. I think everybody should be using it for pretty much everything. It's going to speed up your work. It's going to improve your work in both the things that you do for a living and the things that you do as a hobby for fun. Do not sleep on ChatGPT. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to do some relationship building. And I have an interesting relationship that I want to build for Spark Steelclaw. And it's something that this description of him made me think of. Spark Steelclaw's work is highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts alike, and is considered some of the finest metalwork in the land. If you're looking for a one-of-a-kind masterpiece to add to your collection, or simply a beautiful piece of functional art to adorn your home, Spark Steelclaw's work is sure to impress. Somebody who is that dedicated to their craft is not going to take the time to interact with customers. That's too much effort. Customers are extremely demanding. They're extremely wishy-washy. They never really know what they want, and they get in the way of the creative process all the time. If you're a creative or artistic person, I'm sure you can agree with me, most of the time you just want to get some information from the customer and then never ever talk to them again until the work is done and they can just be impressed at how much better you did it than they saw it in their mind, because they're not creative people and they didn't see all the things that you could do. So Spark Steelclaw is going to have a relationship with not a fence because I don't want it to be a shady character, but a curator or an intermediary who is going to handle all of his front-facing work for him. He's going to vet potential clients. They're going to find potential clients. They're going to sell works that maybe Spark Steelclaw did without a commission, just for fun. They're going to do their best to collect works. We have collectors and enthusiasts, right? So you're going to have things like estate sales. If somebody dies without an heir, then that work is going to end up going into an estate sale and just being bought by some random group of individuals or collectors and potentially be taken out of circulation. So this curator or intermediary is also going to seek to reacquire things that are dropped from a lineage like that and then resell them to some other individual as a collector's piece, as an enthusiast piece. So let's start. We're just going to create a new post here, and we're going to call this the curator. And I don't want to get terribly specific because I don't want to create this character. I want to create an opportunity for somebody to go find another NPC that somebody else made and use it as this curator. So we're going to put in here Spark Steelclaw does not interact with the public that so adores his work. His time is so consumed with the efforts of his labor that he requires we're going to call them a partner, not an assistant, not a subordinate. This is a partner who is capable of charming and vetting clients. Capable of charming and vetting clients, as well as tracking and reacquiring, as well as tracking his works around the world and reacquiring those lost to theft or death. Spark Steelclaw does not interact with the public that so adores his work. His time is too consumed with the efforts of his labor, and he requires a partner. He is so consumed that he requires a partner. I don't want to run this sentence on too long. Actually, I'm just going to take this. So again, one of the things that ChatGPT can do really well for you is to the extraordinary anger of my mother, have terrible written language skills. And I don't know where commas go. I don't know where periods go. I'm awful at it. My punctuation and grammar is atrocious. So I'm just going to come into ChatGPT here. I'm going to punch this in, and I'm going to say, please make this make sense. Spark Steelclaw is a highly talented artist who is much sought after by the public. However, due to the demands of his work, he is unable to interact with his fans. To help manage his time and work, he is in need of a partner who can represent him in public, charm and screen potential clients, and keep track of his artwork that may have been lost or stolen. This partner will play a crucial role in ensuring that Spark Steelclaw's work continues to reach new audiences and remain accessible to the public. This is so much better than the drivel that I wrote, and so we're going to use it. And it is very much what I was looking for. And I think this, as an adventure hook, is awesome because there is no reason that if you were playing a tabletop RPG, the curator couldn't contact your players and get them to go on expeditions to go find some of these lost works. I think that would be really, really fun. And so now we have this relationship. And again, you can drop an image into these, and that image will appear. Here, I'll post this real quick. Post. That image will appear. Oh, let's. I need to go here. I want to change this to be a gallery view. Save changes. Bammo. Once you put an image there, it'll actually appear over here, so you can see the image instead of the text. And that will give a lot of visual enticement to your different forum pages, and will draw people in to want to read these things instead of just a bunch of blah text in there. So now we have this curator relationship. Quirks and mannerisms. This is also going to be an interesting one because Spark Steelclaw is such a fine metal craftsman. Not only does he have to be strong, but he also has to be extremely dexterous. And so something that a lot of thieves do is they're constantly doing dexterity exercises. I think it's something that surgeons do as well. But it's not necessarily common for a smith who works with more crude or rough work to do constantly dexterity exercises. But Spark Steelclaw is not an average smith. He is an extremely delicate metalworker. So we are going to say constant dexterity exercises. Much like a thief. What's another, from a medieval world, what's another group of people who would maybe be always doing dexterity exercises? I don't think the concept of surgeon was nearly as developed as it is now. So thieves would be doing dexterity exercises. Magicians. Thieves. Much like thieves and, let's say, entertainers. Spark. Acrobats. Acrobats is also a good one. I think that falls right under entertainers. I think that's perfect. So much like thieves and entertainers, Spark Steelclaw. I might have to change the delay. I've got it at normal, and I don't know what that'll do to my upload speed if I change the delay. I don't know what that'll do to my upload quality, so that we don't get this crazy delay between when I say things and when people write about them. Because I had decided entertainers before Paul had gotten to that point, and then he writes acrobats. We're thinking the exact same thing, but we're off on like a 10 or 15 second delay here, and it makes things a little awkward sometimes. So much like thieves and entertainers, Spark Steelclaw is constant. No, it's not your fault. It's mine. I think I need to change it because I want better interactivity instead of this sort of janky, weird interactivity that we have now. Much like a thieves and entertainers, much like a thieves. Nope, that's wrong. See, this is what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm doing. Much like thieves and entertainers, Spark Steelclaw is constantly concerned with the dexterity of his hands, working he can always be found manipulating cards or coins to keep his fingers nimble. Fantastic. Wonderful quirk. Super important. Will absolutely help anybody who is using this character, particularly in a dynamic storytelling sense. Will absolutely create a better character experience when using Spark Steelclaw. Skills and abilities. He's a smith. He's extremely good at intricate work. There are also going to be some other skills and abilities associated with that, right? He's going to have abilities for sleight of hand, um, for basic pickpocketing, things like that, that just come from his ability to work with hot metals in such a quick and delicate fashion. So maybe putting something in there about that as part of his skills and abilities, and making sure that they're seen as secondary or even tertiary skills and abilities. And obviously not something that Spark Steelclaw goes out of his way to improve or get better at, but just stuff that is um, a natural result of his work. Physical description. This is another one of those things that I'm just horrible about. I think it's because I don't recognize a lot about the way people look when I meet them in person. I never notice the color of someone's eyes. I never notice specifics about the shape or size of their facial features. Most of the time, I couldn't even tell you the hair color of the people I just met. And so it's difficult for me to think of things to describe when I'm thinking about something or someone's physical appearance. And so we're going to go over here to ChatGPT and say I am making a kobold NPC. And I need to make a physical description. Can you please help with an outline of physical characteristics I need to include, as well as some options for each? Shablamo. ChatGPT is going to help me out again. Yes, I just said the word shablamo. And you will also note, once again, my absolutely abhorrent grammatical and spelling abilities on full display up here. And ChatGPT does not care. It's going to give it to me anyway. Sure, here's a general outline for the physical characteristics of a kobold NPC. Size and build. Kobolds are a small reptilian race with an average height of 3 to 4 feet tall. They have a compact muscular build with a slightly hunched posture and a long tail. This is a very general idea of what a kobold looks like, and in order to maintain that Spark Steelclaw is, in fact, a kobold, we're going to keep most of this, but we're going to give him an exact height. I think we want to make him extremely small for his species, so we're probably going to make him 3 foot 2 inches. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to post it into my Notion space, because that's what I do. That's going to be his description. Instead of 3 to 4 feet tall, it's going to be 3 foot 2 inches tall. Skin color. Kobolds typically have rough, scaly skin in shades of brown, gray, and green. Some kobolds have patterns or markings on their skin, such as stripes or spots. Um, I want to go. Let's think here. Wow, it's really getting some. Man, I love ChatGPT. It's so wonderful, and I know lots of people out there think that it's cheating to use ChatGPT in creative endeavors, but looking at all of this information and looking at all of these potential options and looking at what it would take to consider each of these characters as you built them and each of these characteristics as you built them, we've been sitting here and honestly we get sidetracked all the time to talk about stuff that has nothing to do with the character we're building, and that's just very natural for people. You're naturally going to get sidetracked. It would take hours and hours and hours of time to develop an individual character in the depth that we're trying to develop for the World Nexus. And so having access to something like this, now I know that there are people out there who make characters all the time, who have been playing tabletop RPGs for a really long time, and who have a method and a particular talent for creating these descriptions and creating these characters. But needing to have that talent and that sort of pre-existing ability to focus down and get all of this information out here has really stopped a lot of people who are extremely creative from engaging in a lot of these creative pursuits. And being able to cut some of that pre-needed talent out of the way, I think is opening up a lot of room for equally creative people who maybe don't have just those specific attributes. And so I'm very excited about what ChatGPT and other generative AI is helping us do. So let's think a little bit about our character. I want I want a gray skin to mirror the soot that Spark Steelclaw would be um, exposed to every day while they were working in the forge. Uh, may struggle more with evil guy. That's true. ChatGPT does not like to be evil, and so you might have a little bit of problem with that. But honestly, ChatGPT understands the concept of narratives and understands the concept of antagonist. And so while you might not get ChatGPT to expressly talk about individual evil acts, you will probably be able to get it to create evil characters in a more theoretical sense. Sorry, I've got to get something to drink. My mouth is dry. All right, we're back. Um, I'm a little torn here between short and stocky and lean and agile because we're talking about a character that is extremely dexterous, but only dexterous in a very small part of their body, right? They're just extremely dexterous hands, not necessarily a dexterous individual. In fact, that could be an interesting quirk. Is, in the forge or in his workspace, he could be extremely skilled and extremely dexterous and look, um, his actions and motions and stuff could all be very coordinated and well put together. And then you get Spark out into an unfamiliar space, and he's just tripping over his feet and falling down and just generally can't cope with an unknown world that he hasn't taken the time to study and experience over and over and over again to create specific paths and stuff like that he walks. So maybe his day-to-day life can be extremely organized and planned out. So he always goes to the same market. He always goes to the same um, inn to go have a beer or whatever after he gets done with work to wash down the soot. He always, does all of these things in exactly the same way over and over and over again, because outside of his routine, he's just a complete disaster. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to add that into quirks. Quirks and mannerisms. Create a new post. Completely unable to deal with unknown spaces. Very agile and dexterous in his forge, but anytime he ventures out of his neighborhood and away from his routine, he trips over things and is generally clumsy. How do you spell clumsy? Does it have a B in it? I don't know. We'll add more to that later. This is getting fairly long as far as streams are concerned, and I want to get the character mostly done before ending the stream, because we have a bad habit of not completing things, and I have a bad habit of getting sidetracked, and that's why. So we're going to get some stuff done here. Physical description. All right. We are going to really lean on ChatGPT to increase our speed here. So, short and stocky with gray skin with black spots. Let's see. The character is intelligent, but right, you would have to be intelligent to be that creative, but I don't want to give them the impression that their intelligence is the most important thing about them. It's their creativity, it's the dexterity with which they can create things. It's maybe actually wide, curious eyes would be better, because in order to be creative, you have to take in a lot. You have to look at the world in a certain way. So I think we're going to go with wide, curious eyes. Hair. Let's do totally bald. And wears Smith's clothes even when not in the forge. Okay, please write a description of this character based on these decisions. Good old ChatGPT, doing the legwork. Here's a description of your kobold NPC based on the characteristics you've chosen. The kobold is a short and stocky, standing about 3 or 4. Nope. Stop generating. Short and stocky, 3 feet. Let's see if it knows the inch and the foot symbol. 3 foot 2 inches. All right, save and submit. Certainly, the kobold stands at an imposing 3 foot 2 inches. Imposing, even. I like that it calls it imposing. With a short and stocky build, their rough gray skin is covered in black spots, giving them a distinctive appearance. Wide, curious eyes dominate their angular face, surrounded by sharp teeth and a snout-like nose. They are bald, with not a single tuft of hair on their head. This kobold is always dressed in smith's clothes, even when they are not at the forge. The clothing is practical and well worn, absolutely, consisting of a heavy leather apron over a simple tunic and pants. They carry a hammer and tongs at their side, ready for any metalworking task that they may come their way. Despite their small stature, this kobold exudes confidence and strength. They are always eager to learn and try new things, and their wide-eyed curiosity often gets them into mischief. At the forge, they are a master of their craft, creating beautiful and intricate metalwork with ease. So it's interesting that we are in a totally different chat, and this is um, just because of the way ChatGPT is. It's always complimentary. It's always talking very highly of characters and stuff that you create. And so it's interesting that it said it's a master of their craft, even though we're not in the same chat where we talked about the kobold being a master smith. That's very hilarious to me. So this is going to be the physical description that we choose. Personality traits. We've gotten a little bit of the personality in this. Right, exudes confidence and strength. That's because of the way they are physically, but we also want that to be true personality-wise when it comes to forge things. Right, if you're talking to Spark at all about smithing, he's extremely knowledgeable, extremely confident, extremely well spoken. And then anytime you talk to him about anything else, he just turns into a blubbering mess and has no idea what he's talking about and can't get the words out and doesn't know the right vocabulary, right? Everything, all of his knowledge, everything he knows is totally about smithing, and everything else is just blank. We will work on that in a minute. Background overview. That's going to take a lot. We're going to have to throw some life events in there. Man, this is turning into a pretty big project. I'm probably going to have to create most of this on my own outside of the stream. Because we're getting to that time that I like to end things. I don't like for things to be too much more than an hour. Because you all are perfectly capable of extrapolating the remainder of this for yourselves, right? There's no point in you watching me trip and fall my way through doing this. But the important thing is that we look at how ChatGPT can help us do these things, and we look at the format that is going to suit the World Nexus the most, and how we might go about that. When Discord allows for forum channels to be in personal channels, I am going to post this particular channel as a template in the person part of the World Nexus, and I am going to create templates for all of the different sections as well as we go through those different sections this week. But in the meantime, you can absolutely, I mean, it fits on one screen here. You can take a look at what's available or what we've got in here, and then go ahead and just make your own channel and create your own character. And I encourage you absolutely to do that. Let's add some characters to the World Nexus, because on Friday, I want to get together and I want to have a longer stream, and I just want to take those characters and I want to take some places that we create, and I want to take all this different stuff and I want to mash it together, and I just want to tell some stories. And we're going to spend all day Friday just telling stories. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if at any point you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you all very much for stopping by. Paul, thanks again for being my chat hero over here, constantly keeping me on my toes, telling me interesting little tidbits. So thank you for that, and I hope everyone has a great day.